How about the future king of football?
Kylian Mbappe.
What's greater than a answer? Nothing. Portugal, France, tomorrow at 3 on ESPN.
Welcome back to that same old place that you laughed about. Well, the names have all changed since you hung around.
Welcome back, America. It sure is good to see you.
Right, simplest scenarios in Group D. Czech Republic are top of the group. They will finish top of the group if they draw or they beat England. England, of course, taking on the Czech Republic. If they win, then they will finish in first place in the group. Then we've got Croatia and Scotland. Very different perceptions of their single point each. For Croatia, as World Cup finalists, it's seen as a disappointment. For Scotland, getting that 0-0 draw against England at Wembley is seen as a big achievement. However, Scotland will need to get their first win and their first goal of the tournament if they want to reach the last 16. Third place is guaranteed last 16 in this group if they manage to get 4 points. There is also a possibility that if there is a swing in goal difference, either Croatia or Scotland could finish in second place at the expense of the Czech Republic or England. You don't need to remember all of that. We will keep you straight as we go through it. So Croatia taking on Scotland at Hampden, but it is, although Croatia technically the home team in this one, it is at Hampden Park, and those Scotland fans that we saw making that trip to Wembley for the game last week will be there in their thousands. Big representation for Croatia as well, and the England fans are flooding into Wembley, where Czech Republic fans will be there to meet them. Big games then in Group D. Couple of issues still to be decided, and we'll bring you the games next.
You are watching UEFA Euro 2020. ESPN's pre-match coverage is presented by Progressive.
Perk for being a Farmers customer.
Do I have to do anything?
Nothing.
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 Nothing?
Nothing.
That really is something.
You get a whole lot of something with Farmers Policy Perks. See ya.
May I have a balloon too?
Sure. Your parents have maintained a farmer's home policy for 12 consecutive months, right?
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Start with a quote at 1-800-FARMERS.
This is pasteurized processed cheese food. It's only required to contain 51% cheese. This is a Sargento slice. It's the one that makes mouths water. That's 100% real natural cheese. Frankly, nothing else compares.
Sargento. We're real cheese people.
The Edge from Pizza Hut. Every bite is a masterpiece. It comes loaded with toppings all the way to the edge. For the crust, let's keep it real, thin, and crispy. They might not be able to see it, but we'll know it's there. It'll be our little secret. And to finish it off, a delightful sprinkling of garlic and herb seasoning.
I really gotta get going, man.
Tell your manager you took it to the edge.
I don't know that he'll accept that.
The Edge is back with 4 new recipes. Get it before it's gone. No one outbeats the Hut.
Metro by T-Mobile knows you work hard to get ahead, so we're giving you the tools you need to rule your day. Right now, there's 0 fees to switch. Plus, get 4 free Galaxy phones. Just $25 a line for 4 lines. Metro, empowering you to rule your day.
This is pasteurized processed cheese food. It's only required to contain 51% cheese. This is a Sargento slice. It's the one that makes mouths water. That's 100% real natural cheese. Frankly, nothing else compares.
Sargento. We're real cheese people.
Every Sunday night, give us the star power and the sounds of the game.
What in the wide world of sports is going on here?
Give us the unforgettable moments.
These guys are phenomenal. Let's celebrate it. Let's enjoy it.
Cubs, Dodgers on Sunday Night Baseball. Sunday at 7 on ESPN. Telecast presented by Taco Bell.
Today, the margin of error is gone. This is where every tackle, every save,
And a chance save made!
every goal
It's Raheem Sterling! And the nation rejoices.
can make the difference.
The jump start that Croatia need.
It's the moment to become a national hero.
Can you believe what we've just seen? Out of this world!
No one wants to go home. Don't blink. It's decision day at Euro 2020.
It is the final day of Group D, and it could be the final day of the tournament for Croatia and Scotland. Taking you through events at Wembley on ESPN1, Stuart Robson and Ian Dark, and taking you through Croatia against Scotland on ESPN2, Efan Okoku and Derek Ray.
Thank you very much, Kelly. Welcome to Hampden, where hearts are thumping, stomachs are churning, and tension levels are frankly off the charts. It feels a bit like the knockout round before the round of 16. Whoever wins goes through, but there's potentially a dark twist because a draw would eliminate both Croatia and Scotland. Croatia are the favourites as World Cup runners-up in 2018, but for all their technical ability, they've underwhelmed in this tournament and going back over several months. Scotland, their opponents, are the underdogs, but they won massive credit for their performance in the draw with England at Wembley. Luka Modric leading his team out. And can Scotland get out of a group stage at a major tournament for the first time at this, the 11th attempt? So much on the line.
Yeah, it's a great occasion, isn't it, Derek? And welcome to everybody around the world. It's Hampden, it's hammer time for Scotland, it has to be, otherwise they are going home. They won't have far to go, of course, but it's not a scenario that they would really like to think about, is it? Not being able to advance on home turf, qualify for the knockout stage of a major tournament for the first time.
First order of business, the playing of the national anthems.
Starting with Croatia.
now Scotland. As we get ready to have a look at the two teams. For Croatia, Dominik Livakovic, excellent so far. Josip Juranovic preferred to Šime Vrsaljko at right back. Marcelo Brozovic returns in midfield. Also included Nikola Vlasic, and up front Bruno Petkovic with Josip Brekalo, Andrej Kramaric and Ante Rebic dropping to the bench.
And it's up front, Derek, where Croatia really needs to be much more impressive than they have been in the opening two matches. Vlasic and Petkovic have an enormous opportunity to stake a claim for many more caps in the future.
And the honour of refereeing this game goes to the guest referee from Argentina, Fernando Rapalini, part of the exchange between UEFA and the South American Confederation, CONMEBOL. Luka Modric and Andrew Robertson, the two skippers. And here's the Scotland side in front of David Marshall. Same defence as at Wembley. Grant Hanley was in the side for Scotland's last two meetings with Croatia in 2013, both wins. The change in midfield sees Stuart Armstrong come in, Billy Gilmore out due to COVID, and again Lyndon Dykes and Shea Adams in attack.
Scotland have been probably 7.5, 8 out of 10 in the opening two games, in the midfield and the back line, but it's up front for me, Derek, where they have been lacking. Shea Adams and Lyndon Dykes have got to find a way to trouble this Croatian defence early on, make sure it's an aggressive game. That's the only way to unsettle such an accomplished side.
Croatia say they want to show their true face. The words of Luka Modric. They feel they haven't done themselves justice up to this point. Plenty of raw, nervous excitement from a Scottish point of view. For an entire Scottish generation, this is a brand new feeling. Their shot at glory in the form of progression to the last 16. No small matter when you've never got out of a group before. A reminder, Scotland are the only country without a goal to their name at Euro 2020. 30 shots, 8 chances, according to the statisticians, but none taken. Winner takes all at Hampden. The prize dangled in front of Croatia and Scotland is a guaranteed place in the knockout stages. Only one team can claim it. And Scotland getting players forward. Stephen O'Donnell immediately carves out the first corner of the game, Efan.
Yeah, great start. Kieran Tierney just drives that ball from left to right, looking for possession and hoping that something will happen, and it did. An early corner for Scotland. What a start this could be.
Andrew Robertson with the delivery. Just trying to curl that one in.
We'll get into tactics and formations, etc. I suppose in the opening 10 or 15 minutes, Derek, a little bit more in detail, but a good old-fashioned British game is what the Scots need, I think.
Robertson. And Dykes was trying to put the pressure on Livakovic. Scotland will settle for a throw. Andrew Robertson, one of the finest players in his position anywhere in the world.
Great ball, just a little bit too high for Lyndon Dykes. I don't know why Andy Robertson just didn't control that ball and swing it in once again.
Stephen O'Donnell criticised for his performance against the Czech Republic, but my goodness, really answered his critics at Wembley. Superb playing on that right-hand side. Grant Hanley deciding to give David Marshall a touch. Callum McGregor didn't have the best of seasons with Celtic, but a reliable performer for Steve Clarke in midfield. John McGinn is trying to thread it forward. Back there covering is Domagoj Vida, member of the old guard, if you like, for Croatia. Played here at Hampden along with Dejan Lovren when Croatia came a cropper by a 2-0 margin in 2013. McGinn is going to be important. I'm sure Zlatko Dalic has done his homework on John McGinn, the man who guided Croatia to second place at the last World Cup, Zlatko Dalic. And important to go through the different scenarios This is pretty straightforward, a win for either side, and they go through. If it's a draw, it doesn't help either country.
That's simple enough, isn't it, Derek? There'll be no ambiguity really about what was required in the last couple of days for either of these two teams. Just have to win, boys. Doesn't matter how. Find a way to get the 3 points.
Marcelo Brozovic has been off his game so far in this tournament. Interesting that Juranovic gets the nod at right back. So much goes through Luka Modric. Nikola Vlasic also included. 4 changes made by Zlatko Dalic. Modric. Scotland will expect Croatia to have a lot of the ball. Hanley tried to nod that one down. Kieran Tierney was just in front of him. As we look at Steve Clarke, a man who has brought harmony to the Scottish national team and a good deal of organisation and belief. Juranovic. Well, he had his work cut out for him, Grant Hanley. Well, the decision has gone Scotland's way. The nerves are jangling here in Glasgow for understandable reasons.
Yes, there'll be a lot of tension in the opening 10 or so minutes. Once that burns off, and then the players will settle them down to whatever kind of rhythm they want to play this game at. As I said earlier on, Derek, I think Scotland have got to make this a faster tempo and a slightly more aggressive game than Croatia would like. I think they'll find a way to overcome it eventually and not be bullied by Scotland. They are a physical team when they want to be. I like with their technique. It makes them a top-class outfit when everything is clicking.
Armstrong was trying to get tightly onto Vlasic. Stuart Armstrong, who's come in for Billy Gilmore, sadly unavailable for Scotland after contracting COVID. And he played a blinder at Wembley, especially for one so young. Joško Gvardiol, once again there at left back. Scott McTominay with the stumble. Covering up there was Callum McGregor. Stephen O'Donnell forward. General direction of Lyndon Dykes as Scotland try to switch it to the left. Andrew Robertson having trouble keeping his feet.
A few players already have slipped, haven't they?
Yeah, McTominay just before that. And here's McGinn, so often the catalyst for Scotland. Armstrong robbed of it. McGregor was there to keep things going. McGinn, a super ball! And Adams was making his way into that dangerous position. The threat was very real from Scotland.
Well, I was egging him on to cross this with a left foot, John McGinn. That's a peach of a ball. Che Adams has got to throw himself at it. That's got to be a diving header, no excuses. He's got to meet that before he drops below his shoulder. That's so difficult. He's gone with the wrong foot as well. He's gone with the left instead of with the right. I could understand if he did, but that's got to be a flying header.
Robertson takes the corner. Hanley was up, so too McTominay.
Well, that won't go down as a chance, will it, for Che Adams of Scotland, because he didn't make contact. But for me, that quite clearly is.
And a bit of early sizzle from Scotland. Dykes together there with Dejan Lovren. Lovren, who's just ended his first season playing in Russia for Zenit. Title winner. Put to work again, Lovren. Adams beside Dykes. Brozovic.
Who will sit in front of the back four. Mateo Kovacic will probably have a little bit more licence to get forward. Luka Modric would love to be in a more advanced role. I just wonder whether he really has the legs anymore to stay in that more advanced position. Not likely, I would imagine. Probably more likely to sit alongside Brozovic as the two more settled midfielders. Kovacic has got the legs.
Modric, who's 35 now. Bruno Petkovic starting an attack. Probably the closest player they have to Mario Mandzukic, who's no longer playing for the national team, but they haven't successfully replaced him.
He's a loss, isn't he?
Yeah.
Probably the least talented in terms of ability of all those, the players in the last 4 or 5 years who've worn this Croatian shirt. But Kramaric and Rebric and Perisic in that group. But in some ways the most effective and one of the most important players they've had in recent years.
Really is a perfect night for football here at Hampden on the south side of Glasgow. One of those nights where you expect it to stay light until pretty well close to midnight. Who's going to illuminate this all or nothing contest? Robertson. Trying to work something with Adams. And the switch of play from Andy Robertson. McGinn. Just losing out to the very clever, talented Mateo Kovacic. Plenty of artists in this Croatian side. Here's the artist supreme, Luka Modric. Juranovic, the touch on there by Vlasic, but through to David Marshall. And almost 9 minutes in, Croatia against Scotland on decision day in this group.
Well, we've seen a few of the more fancy teams in other groups. They're really taking the bull by the horns.
Dykes did well. Adams, and just whistling it wide. And Scotland appealing.
Yeah, good flick by Dykes. Took his time to set himself. Che Adams may have got a slight defection, this may tell us. Yeah, I think it did actually.
It's worth repeating, even though this is a sore one for all Scots. Scotland have never before made it beyond the group stage at a major tournament. 10 previous tries, 8 times in the World Cup, twice before at the Euros. And I have to say that there is almost a sense of fatalism when it comes to Scotland fans of a certain age. The younger ones don't have that so much. This is all brand new.
They will do if you keep reminding them, Derek. Let's keep it at the conversation, can we?
Absolutely. For now, let's see what this game gives both countries, Croatia and Scotland.
At some point it's bound to happen, isn't it? And we're better than on home turf.
And again, steering it out to Stephen O'Donnell. Had an interesting tactic for dealing with Jack Grealish the other night. He spoke about it. He said he got advice from John McGinn, club teammate of Grealish, and the advice was flatter him. Tell him that you like his hair and his calves, and that's exactly what he did. Seemed to have the desired effect. Vlasic. Modric. Two sides with very different approaches. Vida. Guardiol will be moving to the Bundesliga after this tournament to play for his new club, Leipzig, coached by the American Jesse Marsh. Let's see where the Scotland pressing line is. Kovacic. Petkovic tried to knock that one on, work something with Vlasic, but it's David Marshall forward, the Scotland hero, and the penalty shootouts.
We watched a lot of Croatian football, haven't we, at top level over the last 20 plus years, and I think they're very much a mood team collectively. Not often now you get 2 or 3 players who will set a different kind of tempo, have a slightly different agenda to the majority. It tends to be very collectively organised and equal in many ways.
Here's Tierney. It's a good feed by Armstrong. Belted forward by Dominik Livakovic. Well, Tierney will get forward from his defensive position. Was missed in the first match against the Czech Republic here because of a niggling injury.
I expect him and Andy Robertson, the Liverpool fullback, to dovetail quite nicely. I expect Robertson to be further forward all game, save his energy on occasions and give the incoming right back for Croatia, Juranovic, a different look. They've just settled into their rhythm without really looking threatening in the final third at the moment. Nice to see them actually in their famous Czech shirts, isn't it, Derek?
Yes, one of their trademarks. News of a goal in the Czech Republic-England game. Raheem Sterling has scored it for England. That would give England victory in the group, which you don't necessarily want, given that put you on a collision course with a team from the Hammer Group. Again, nicely weighted pass. Adams. And O'Donnell was arriving into the grateful grasp of Livakovic. Croatia and Scotland not too bothered about what's happening in the other game because they know it's immaterial. It's all about winning this one and propelling themselves into the round of 16.
Yes, focus 100% on their match now. Absolutely no need for a mixed message, I said earlier on in the last couple of days, and indeed on match day.
And it was a clear foul by Vlasic on Hanley. Never likely to get away with that, Efan.
I wouldn't say there's too much in that. A little bit of a touch on Hanley, but of course when you feel anything like that as a defender, knowing your last man, you're very wise to go to ground.
There's a former striker talking, of course, as we look at the live table. Confirmation of what it would mean, England winning the game against the Czech Republic. A quarter of an hour into this one. Scotland, we should remind you, have never lost against Croatia. Oh, there's a big hole in the defence, but Marshall is out there to plug the gap. And that was quick thinking by the Scotland keeper. Modric. Brozovic helping the ball on its way.
Sorry, Danny, the turf is a little bit greasy, isn't it? As a result, it's slippy. And for the first time, a defender, or actually a player on the pitch, has committed himself, not been able then to get their studs stuck in the turf, or certainly grippy in the turf. And it's been done with a very clever through ball. Good position from David Marshall.
David Marshall, who conceded that incredible goal scored by Patrick Schick here at Hampden. Almost from the halfway line as he scrambled to get back. Here's Modric. Juranovic. To swing it to the other side of the box, and Vlasic! Just what Croatia wanted! Nikola Vlasic with the goal to make it 1-0. The goal to put a dagger through Scotland. Will it be the one to take Croatia through at Scotland's expense?
That's a smart goal from Nikola Vlasic. But it's poor defending from Scotland on the far side, isn't it? O'Donnell, he's surely got to be aware that Perisic is behind him. That's not enough in terms of defending, in terms of determination. Too easy to head that down. It's brave from Perisic. And there's Vlasic. He's unmarked to begin with. McGregor doesn't get round quickly enough. And it's almost off the toe in the end, maybe off the bottom of the leg as opposed to the instep, but they won't mind. They won't not care one little bit. Zlatko Dalic will be delighted. Fine finish.
Well, he very much approves. Zlatko Dalic. And it's the early boost for Croatia here at Hampden. As I mentioned earlier, they've never beaten Scotland. What sort of response will that elicit from Steve Clarke's men? This is the difficult thing. We said it earlier. Croatia are going to have the lion's share of possession. So the Scottish players and their fans are going to have to show an element of patience.
Yeah, I think they've accepted that, haven't they, since Steve Clarke has taken charge of the national team. But they wouldn't have expected to have been beaten by a goal like that. Instead, poor defending on the far post. Unchallenged in many ways was Perisic. Brave header. Vlasic actually did well to keep that ball under control.
Nikola Vlasic getting the start. Justifying his selection. So the hypothetical table, that's how it would look. Croatia would go through as the third placed side in the group. There's still a long way to go. Kovacic gliding through, has the ability to do that always. A change of direction was nicely done from a Croatian point of view. Gvardiol getting forward. Here's Juranovic. Brozovic. You know what Ivan Perisic is capable of. Oh, he's asking the question there.
The left or right foot, Perisic is super strong.
Referee was unmoved. Fernando Rapalini from Argentina. This came off O'Donnell. Ivan Perisic, who scored in the last game against the Czech Republic. He's often the man for goals when it comes to Croatia and major international tournaments. Petkovic. Brozovic for Juranovic. Modric takes over. Trying to knit a few passes together again, but Vlasic with the errant touch.
Well, this one certainly wasn't. There's Perisic brave at the far post. McGregor's a little bit late to get back. It looks as if that ball is running away from. There we go. It's off the toes, really. It wasn't a super clean contact. The angle told me everything about it. But accurate enough to beat David Marshall. Could do nothing about it from that range.
So the state of affairs, 1-0 to Croatia. It's the final game for these two countries in the section, in Group D. Around 12,000 in attendance, reduced capacity here at the National Stadium, Hampden Park in Glasgow. They do have a certain calmness on the ball, Croatia. Difficult for Scotland to rob them of it. It's Modric with that flighted ball. Gvardiol. O'Donnell went in for the challenge. Kovacic. Snapping onto it, Modric! Well, trying to give Marshall something to contemplate. Wanted the decision to go his way, Modric.
Looked like he got a touch, David Marshall. I think it's probably going over the crossbar anyway. Yeah, that's the goalkeeper's touch. That should be a corner. Bell may have actually canned back off the crossbar. That seemed to pick up speed, didn't it? The closer it got to David Marshall. That's a good save. And as you said there, it settled into their rhythm nicely. By that opening 7 or 8 minutes, Croatia looked the more polished side, as we would expect. Scotland, I still feel need to up the tempo. Don't need to be pressing super hard, but certainly once it gets around that halfway line, they need to really step on the gas collectively. It's the only way to disrupt this Croatian side.
Well, the goal has only seen them grow in confidence, you just feel. With a win, Croatia will be in the round of 16.
And it's typical of them, Derek, as well, that they play out their best when It's a simplified game for them as well. They had to win today, and they've started in that fashion with victory on their minds. Modric is taking his time, isn't he? Choosing his moments to actually get further forward. He likes to play this quarterback role. Evermore, he was given the opportunity just to pick the ball off his back four nice and easily, but found himself, especially with that shot a couple of moments ago, not too far outside the Scottish box. I'd be more concerned about the forward thrust of Mateo Kovacic, to be honest, at the moment. Modric is not going to hurt you too much from around there on the halfway line, as good as he is.
Lovren for Vida. Pressure was being applied by Dykes. Now Armstrong. It's a bit of a heavy touch. McGregor, naturally left-footed, nicely done by Adams. Here's Armstrong. And much better from Scotland. Oh, it's Adams, it was McGinn who made that veering run. Wouldn't go in for Scotland though. Modric. Robertson right on top of him. Armstrong. Robertson pulling it back. And there's Livakovic to deny McGinn. All of a sudden, Scotland bursting into life again.
Well, that's a big chance for John McGinn. He just stabbed the ball in the end. Some more conviction. Put your foot through it. There, it's a side foot in the end. You steady yourself, control that ball, and then you've got a chance to bend it around the goalkeeper. Oh, that's a timid effort. That's a poor effort. Completely unchallenged. Just panics. This is a good header for Dykes. Lovren does well to get across. That ball's out anyway. That would have been pulled back, you'd imagine. Adams wasn't able to get himself inside the post, and that would have been a straightforward header.
Quick reminder, Euro 2020 continues on Wednesday, the conclusion of Group E. Slovakia against Spain on ESPN. Sweden, Poland, ESPN2. Coverage from 11 a.m. on ESPN2 with both networks together at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. And all the matches live on the ESPN app.
Well, that's what happens when, Derek, when Scotland actually just employ a semi-press. It wasn't actually, too aggressive. They just forced, Brozovic, it was, into a mistake.
Perisic. And it comes to Modric. Looking to slide that one through. Here's Armstrong. Again, just showing too much of the ball to his opponents.
The steady influence they need in the middle of the park.
Yeah, Billy Gilmore, who is remarkably proficient in terms of keeping the ball, but not available, having to go into isolation after testing positive for COVID. So Stuart Armstrong, the replacement.
Seasoned observers will be thinking, well, that's so a little bit rash from Lovren.
He went in on Adams and a yellow card. Well, the wound was self-inflicted, really. It wasn't slick passing at the back from Croatia, and then this lunge by Lovren, yellow card.
He was so short, he was fully committed to swinging through the ball. I actually don't think there was a great amount of contact, was there, on Shea Adams?
That's going to mean that he'll be out for the next game, should Croatia progress. So Duja Chaleta Tsar very likely to begin the next game if Croatia move forward.
I wouldn't be happy with my teammate if I were Lovren. I think it was Juranovic who gave him that slightly sloppy back pass.
Yeah, it was Juranovic, the right back. And here's Armstrong with the Scotland free kick. McTominay, through it goes to Livakovic. He plays for Dinamo Zagreb, the Croatian champions. Well, Vlasic, the goal scorer, is the player on the ground here at Hampden. Let's see what happened to him, Efan.
Well, McTominay comes in, elbow in the back of the head, inadvertent, purely an accident. Now, not sure what's wrong with this header from Scott McTominay. That nobody in a blue jersey is running across the face of the goalkeeper. That's probably more than a 75% chance of that ball is heading towards goal. And that's the kind of inactivity in the final third, in the penalty area in particular, it's not helping Scotland, is it, in recent matches? No real threat, no real feel for finding the opposing net. This is how it should be done. Great header from Perisic. Just as he's coming under pressure,